I am Danny Otto. Welcome into another episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just want to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in episode 5 of the She-Hulk series. So if you haven't checked that episode out yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disney Plus, watch that, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
Joining with me to break down everything from episode 5 of the She-Hulk series, it's Johnny Rico.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey. What's up?
hey. So, She-Hulk episode 5.
Episode 5, indeed.
Right in the middle now. We have passed the midpoint of the season at this point.
Pretty much, yeah.
But I mean, I think, you know what? I will say this. I think maybe if episode 4 and episode 5 had been combined, it would have been a one jam-packed episode. And it would have been an episode, an 8-episode season with just a longer in-between episode. I didn't particularly have problems with this episode. I think it was, it was what it needed to be. It was an informational episode. It progressed the story overall, and it gave us, these hints for things to come that look awesome. And I mean, that was kind of my biggest thought of the episode. Now, no hate at all for the episode at all. I still I'm on the She-Hulk bandwagon. I do like every episode. I do think some of the other episodes I enjoyed more, but it's not to say that I didn't like this episode at all. I think for what it was the right episode. Two things that I definitely had to note really quick was I love that her cousin just like bursts into her house and is like trying to sell all of the She-Hulk merchandise that's not hers at all. Like it's just her. It's
talking signed merchandise on for profit. Yeah,
I loved that. I loved having that. We actually I have a picture of that. I had to have.
There he is.
I had to have a picture of that because he like burst in. It's just perfect. It actually a while ago we were talking about the League. He reminds me of Taco because I feel like it's a Taco move to be like hawking that merch and stuff like that.
Yeah, some random business venture that just makes no sense, but somehow it works for him.
Yeah, Taco Corp.
Yeah, there you go.
But it just made me think of that. But that wasn't the only knockoff merch that we got in this episode. We actually got a bunch of Avengers knockoff merch. Avengers, actually, to be completely on point with that. And I just love that we got like a scene of Nikki and Pug decked out with this merch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a realistic thing. There's plenty of knockoff merch for like sports teams and stuff in real life. So why wouldn't there be like knockoff Avengers merch? In the MCU. I just think it made perfect sense, and I thought it was perfect the way that they had that, and they were basically getting extorted for information, basically, by having to buy this Avengers merch.
Exactly, yeah.
It was awesome. But anyway, those were some of my initial impressions of this episode. What about you, Rico? What did you think of episode
5? Yeah, so before I get into my thoughts on the episode, one thing, if you go back to the Avengers shirt picture, just that art is exactly the stuff that you see whenever we post our TikToks and stuff like that. Those are the same emoji arts that you see. So cool that they got the artist to kind of do a shirt design for them and stuff like that. So, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm like, those are familiar design for people, especially if you're on TikTok and you use those emojis and stuff like that for your posts. That's exactly what those are. So I thought that was really cool to see at the end of the day. But I didn't particularly love this episode. I thought for me, out of the 5 we've gotten, that this would be number 5 for me on the list so far. It's a pretty standard filler episode. I felt like it's got a story. It's a transitional story, I guess, built off the last episode, which they do really well. Is kind of like set up the next episode with the very end of the previous episode. But so we get like the whole stuff with Titania and She-Hulk and stuff like that, which I thought was, pretty standard like courtroom comedy kind of stuff, just like the stuff with like the shapeshifter and stuff like that. Um, so of course, and then the whole storyline between like going with Jen's past dates and stuff like that, and how like she was able to use that to her advantage, even though it's kind of like a embarrassing situation for her at the
Yeah.
end of the day. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty funny, but yeah, this episode almost kind of hinges on like the very end of the episode, which we'll get into later. But like yeah, again, there wasn't a lot that happened, but at the same time, that gives you something to look forward to.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like I said, I it wasn't my favorite episode, but I still really enjoyed it. I think for what it was, it definitely progressed the story. It definitely gave us teases and hints for stuff that's going to be paid off before the end of the series. And so, yeah, I think it did what it needed to do as a filler episode, and as an episode. In general, I'm still enjoying the series overall. Anyway,
Yeah,
you want to get to some big takeaways?
let's do it.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to kick us off. So I had two really big takeaways that I wanted to talk about, and they're not what you think they would be. Uh, so when we are in the courtroom scene that you were actually mentioning, it's a perfect segue. We saw all of those past dates. Like we remember from the episode, from the swiping episode anyway, we saw all these people in person. But
Mhm.
one particular person that wasn't like the worst date ever. He just seemed like he was like very like a She-Hulk super fan type of thing. He just kind of got like
Yeah, a
weird.
little bit had a weird fanatic vibe about him.
Right. His name's Todd. We know that he's rich because he came up in this episode a couple of times where he was saying he has lots of money and all this stuff. Um, but there's a very interesting thing that some people have pointed out about Todd, and it's that in the credits, there's actually the actor that plays him. It says Todd Hulk or Hulk Todd. It is one or the other. I can't remember the exact wording. Maybe after the fact, we'll pop that image up if we can find one. But I'm wondering if he has some sort of hand in the gang that was trying to get Jennifer's blood in the first place. Like originally, like one of my other predictions was that it was going to be the date that she actually ended up bringing back. But I really think that maybe that was a red herring. I really think maybe Todd has a little bit more sinister things, and it almost gives me the vibes of like the Army Hammer, where he wants to have the same kind of tech as Tony Stark did.
Just Justin Hammer, not
Oh,
Army
Justin.
Hammer.
Sorry,
Army Hammer is the actor.
sorry.
Okay.
Justin Hammer. Thank
Continue,
you for
yeah.
correcting me. But I really think he what if we kind of get like that kind of storyline where at first Todd is really like he's the fanatic of the She-Hulk, and he just wants to he wants to be friends with She-Hulk, he wants to date She-Hulk, he wants to do this, but maybe his motives are more sinister than that, more of so like he wants those powers, he wants Hulk stuff, and that kind of is what leads him to hire people to get her blood and maybe make a new serum for a Hulk serum type of thing. That was the first thing I was just thinking of, and it just popped in my head. The second is way friendlier. I love Pug as a character. I like this actor. Most of the things I've seen him in,
Yeah.
he's played like just a really like nice like goofball type of character. And
Oh, really?
yeah, like
Okay.
there was a show called Sirens that used to be on USA, and he played a cop in that, but he was just like that goofy, lovable character type of thing. And so like
Interesting.
I feel like he's playing the same character in this at least. These are the only two references I really have to that character. But I love the fact that he collects shoes. And
Yeah,
not
good
only shoes,
sneakerhead.
yeah, but it looks like it's superhero related shoes because he mentions like it's the Iron Man 3s that he wants, and he's mentioned other stuff like that. But not only that, when they were getting extorted for information, we actually have the shot where he bought the whatever it was called, the Thor's hammer and Cap's shield and the
Yeah.
hat and the t-shirt and everything. He probably didn't have to buy that much, but just like he needed to complete the collection. I feel like I have a very deep connection with that. where I have to finish collectible sets and stuff like that. So I had to mention it. I had to note it. I really like Pug as a character. In the comics, Pug does end up having some sort of on again off again relationship with She-Hulk, and I'm wondering if we're ever going to see something like that. I don't know. I'm not throwing it in there, but I do like him as a character, and I hope that we see more of him, just because I like having him as a lighthearted character and having him in with Jen and Nikki. I like that trio and how they play off of each other, type of thing. But anyway, those are my two big takeaways. Rico, what were some of your takeaways from this episode?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned you've only seen the Pugs actor that like only in like friendly roles, because the only role I know him from is from Arrow, where he plays a like horrible villain. And I'm like, this guy is a savage. So I'm like, seeing him in like a friendly role is almost like weird for me, because I'm not used to seeing it.
Oh, we're going in opposite directions then.
Yeah, we're coming at this actor from opposite perspectives for sure. Because I remember him doing some pretty dark stuff in Arrow, and he was really good in that role. So he's a pretty solid actor all in general. But like, yeah, I did like that little side adventure with him and Nikki. I think those two have really good like comedic chemistry together on top of just like their scenes. They're just fun.
Yeah.
The end of the episode was really the big thing for me here, and for me that was when Jen was going to see the stylist, Luke, I think you said his name was
Luke Jacobson. Yeah,
Luke Jacobson. Yes, a very designery name. But so yeah, she gets the appointment from Pugs and Nikki. Of course, they kind of help set that up for her, and then she goes and sees him finally. And then they kind of leave the episode with her going to try on her suit. And then we follow Lucas around, and he puts a box down, and it's the old helmet of Mr. Daredevil, that nice gold yellow helmet that we're gonna finally see. So obviously that's the teaser for our next episode and stuff like that. And I think that's some really cool, just a really cool tease, like the way to do it. It's like, okay, so we're gonna see him finally. But also in the credits, we got a really cool kind of, I don't know if this is supposed to be like a teaser or just like an Easter egg or something like that, but we got some pretty cool little comic book shoe Easter eggs here. We got Daredevil, we got the Thing, Cyclops, and Ghost Rider, which are like all like, what the heck is going on over here? And I'm sure there's some others in there that I haven't particularly like picked out yet, but like
there's multiple Spider-Men in there too. It's not just our normal Spider-Man suit. It's like Spider-Verse characters.
Oh yeah, they're going all out with the cool. First of all, I love the art style of the credits, the kind of courtroom drawing art style credits that they do here.
Yeah.
Everything's kind of had like these really cool graphic style credit sequences at the end of the show, and I like this one's kind of got like a basic art style to it. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool Easter egg in there. Of course, like hyping up the Iron Man 3s, which is a great callback to I think the second episode when we saw the little internet headline on there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're like, hey, these are like the Jordans of the MCU, essentially, like, is pretty cool. So again, really cool the fact that they put in, like, I guess you could say that's like our first real Deadpool appearance in the MCU, like a shoe with his face on it, like just acknowledging that he's there, and Cyclops and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, they're telling you to get ready, like stuff's gonna happen. And Fantastic Four, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, everything we know that's like these people are going to be here eventually, type of thing, and it's a fun. It's a a fourth wall breaking way to say it too.
Just teasing their inevitable appearances.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think I totally agree with you. I think that was great, and that was basically in place of us getting an end credit scene. I feel like that was enough of a tease.
That's what got people talking.
Yeah, I mean that was in the credits, and that was enough of a tease. Like they could legitimately have put the Daredevil mask thing as the end credit scene. That they could have easily done that. Or they could have put the shoes as like a live scene or something like that, and it been an end credit scene. But I think what we got, I think it worked perfect, and I was all about it. I paused it and was like looking. I had people texting me about it to like go, did you see the end yet? Did you get to the end? I was like, I'm almost there. But that was what my morning was like today. It was people asking if I had pointed anything out. But anyway, do you want to get to some predictions?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Why don't you kick us off with predictions? I mean, I'm pretty sure we both are on the same level of what to expect for next week. But
yeah, I mean, obviously, seeing the helmet at the end of the episode, we can expect the internet breaking appearance of one Matt Murdock / Daredevil next week. Hopefully, I mean, if it's not directly next week, I'll be a little upset if you're not gonna tease it now and then just kind of make his way a little bit longer. But no, I'm pretty sure we'll see him next week. I'm curious as to like because the show's set in Los Angeles, right? So I'm curious as to what Matt's doing on the West Coast, being that we know him as a New York based villain or not villain, hero. Uh, but obviously Matt in the comics does have a stint where he lives in San Francisco for a bit, so he's got a West Coast connection from the books. So maybe he's just that's the way they're setting up his MCU character is that he kind of just goes around. I mean, he was in New York for Spider-Man, so obviously
Yep.
he's got roles in both places. But yeah, I'm curious if he's living there right now or if the story is just bringing him there for a purpose, and then we'll set him up going back to New York at some point. He's gonna have a role in Echo again, as we all know. And then obviously, like the one thing I want from this show is I want some more hints at like an overall villain, like a big villain for the show. Like we have nothing really except for the wrecking crew scene and the boss, but only one tease of that in 5 episodes. I feel like we could start getting into more and more of that, especially now we're gonna see her in her suit too. So like, let's
You mean this?
yeah, this one right here. Look at that, and look who's behind her.
Look at the
This is
background.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I'm looking forward to that chemistry as well. Those two, from not just a hero perspective, but a lawyer perspective as well, because I think that'll give a chance to uh really show more of Jennifer as one a lawyer, but especially just more character work, especially with a character like Matt. So I'm excited for just that overall dynamic in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, my prediction is the exact same thing. I mean, I think at this point we're all hoping once we got that tease, we're hoping the next episode is that, and we've had plenty of from the original trailer and from the mid season trailer that we got during Disney Plus Day and D23 and stuff like that. We know what's happening, so I think we are all expecting it to happen kind of next week, and maybe be over the course of 2 episodes or something like that. I'm really interested to see how Matt Murdock and Jennifer Walters meet, or if they meet as Daredevil and She-Hulk. Like I'm interested to see
how their paths cross.
Yeah, how their original paths cross and
Mhm.
how it gets into the next. Because I mean, we did hear that voiceover during the mid-season trailer that they released recently, where he is talking about how it's a perfect dynamic for She-Hulk and Jennifer Walters because Jennifer Walters can help one way and She-Hulk can help when the law fails, type of thing.
Right, exactly.
So we know that they at some point know each other's secret identity, know each other's. I mean, well, Jennifer Walters doesn't really have a secret identity, but
Sure, yeah.
we know at some point there's going to be like they know each other well enough that she knows that Matt Murdock and Daredevil are the same person, type of thing.
Maybe. Maybe because if her identity is public knowledge already, he could still come at it from two different perspectives and still not give himself away. So that'll actually be interesting to see how they handle that. In general. So yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. There was one more thing I wanted to mention is that we also learned at D23 that the leader is going to be the villain of Captain America 4.
Yep.
And so again, we were talking about the boss and stuff like that. Who knows? Maybe Todd's working for the leader in some form or another. So that would be an interesting little, add a little spice to your theory there.
Yeah.
But again, like that confirms that one, he's coming back, which is something I was hoping for in some form or another. I'm kind of hoping we get some kind of tease of him in the show. Like I'm really excited. Tim Blake Nelson's a great actor. He was really great in Watchmen, the show, and he's always been kind of someone that's been sprinkled around TV shows and movies all throughout the years. So seeing him back in that role, which I thought was really interesting tease back in 2008. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how the MCU is going to handle his character, like going into Captain America 4, like especially for that, like the fact that he's a villain in that movie. So yeah, I'm really curious to see what the leader is brewing up here.
Yeah, anything aside for She-Hulk, I am super hyped for Captain America 4. Like everything we've heard about that just makes me even more excited for that movie. I cannot wait for that in general. But yeah, I could see a Todd and the leader kind of relationship, just like we had Justin Hammer and who was the overall Whiplash? Who was the overall?
Yeah, he was like Whiplash, but he was,
in in Iron Man 2. Like, what if it was that kind of relationship where Todd really didn't know who he was making deals with, but like, you know, it progressed what he wanted to, type of thing, and just gets tangled up with somebody who overall is pulling the strings, type of thing, and has, you know, the master plan, and Todd ends up, you know, just getting sucked into it, type of thing.
it's a little laggy.
Yeah, I can see that happening because I mean he's rich. He's got a bunch of money, and he thinks he probably can. He probably underestimates people, and I could see, you know, somebody who's smarter, like the leader, like being able to outsmart him. And Todd.
There's also the chance that we are severely overestimating Todd in general, and he is just the goofball that he's kind of the goofy rich dude that we kind of he is portrayed to be. So
Look,
there's also that.
There are plenty of chances for red herrings in this episode.
Always,
right? In this series, not just this episode, but in series in general. I get that.
Absolutely.
But that's what's fun about doing theories, and that's what's fun about what we get to talk about. And
throw that spaghetti against that wall. See if it sticks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This wall is stained with spaghetti. I cannot wait to throw more. Anyway, like I always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of this episode? And do you think next week is the Daredevil episode? Are we going to get Matt Murdock and Jennifer Walters meetup? Are we going to get a She-Hulk and Daredevil meetup? What are we going to get? And do you think at the very end of everything, we have the leader pulling strings? And what about Todd? Never forget Todd. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest video releases. Bye, everybody!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.